Hi guys, the Tories seem determined to destroy British farming. If it isn't through Brexit, it could be by abandoning it during the effects of climate change, or perhaps the mismanagement of water companies who are supposed to have measures in place to protect both the public and agriculture. Liz Webster from Save British Farming was on Sky News, where she educated the public on not just how the current flooding is harming farming, but how the Conservative government are more interested in gimmicks than policies that would protect British agriculture. Have a listen.
We've heard in the last hour or so from the government saying farmers who've suffered uninsurable damage to their land can apply for grants of up to £25,000. That's through the Farming Recovery Fund. I know you're saying your main issues are long term, but in the short term, that surely will be welcome.
Any help is welcome, of course, but we've lost so much money since Brexit because of the removal of BPS. You know, it is... and with the increased input costs, you know, there's two things. It's A, whether farming is a viable business. But, you know, for everybody in the country, it's about everybody's food. And nobody seems to understand that food comes from farms. It doesn't come from supermarkets. And the global situation with the two canals, Panama and Suez Canal, being in crisis, we need to think carefully about where the food imports are coming from, because British farmers are not producing enough food to feed the British people. And the government don't seem to be aware or care about this. And we've been warning of this since the Ukraine invasion. And with the Brexit changes, I have been asking the government, who's going to feed Britain? Because there's no food plan. And the only thing that the Agriculture Act really addresses is environmental schemes. And as you can see, the environmental schemes are not going brilliantly either. And there is no joined up thinking around these issues. And it's only when there's a crisis that suddenly they sort of go, oh, we should do something about this. But it's too late. There should be some planning. There should be some proper working with farmers instead of having gimmicky get-togethers in Downing Street with hay bales, which are meaningless. You know, we need a proper plan.
Well, it is... it is an election year, Liz Webster. It is an election year, so maybe we will hear more from all parties over the next few weeks and months, but we must leave it there. Thank you for your...
Liz once again hits the nail on the head. This is a government of gimmicks. They don't actually have any real plan put in place. It's all about responding to the crisis at the moment and throwing some money at the problem, hoping that will make it go away. But farmers who are underwater at the moment are not going to be able to rebuild with £25,000. It doesn't. In some cases, it wouldn't matter how much money they were given, it wouldn't be able to fix the problem because their damage has already been done. There's a big problem also with a lack of investment. When the UK was a member of the European Union, it was able to access structural funds. Now that money is gone. So British farming is pretty much on its own. It's not getting the support it needs from the British government. And Brexit adds to all these problems as well. Farmers need to import raw materials. There are extra costs related to that. And when it comes to exports, well, we saw already the problems that are facing farmers and fishermen and others when it comes to exporting their produce. Liz said here that British farming is in decline in a sense because it's not getting the support it needs. British farming can't feed the population, so the government, the country have to rely on imports. But as climate change is making the food more expensive, it's going to be more expensive for British consumers. And it's also more damaging to the environment because if you have to import more food, there's an extra cost there to the environment and to the pocket of the consumer. Food comes from farms. It shouldn't come from supermarkets. This is what people need to be convinced of. So if they want locally produced, they need to see it supported by the government. But the Tories are not interested in doing that. They're only interested in gimmicks, as Liz has pointed out. You know, get-togethers on hay bales at number 10. Convincing the public that the government are doing something instead of actually doing something. And finally, the water companies have a massive role to play here. As we've seen, they're pumping raw sewage into rivers and lakes, and now it seems that farms are being affected by that as well. Earlier in this interview, Liz pointed out that her cows had got sick because of contact with contaminated water, And this is affecting not just the public, but it's affecting British farming as well. And the Tory response is, well, let's make sure that the companies who run the water, who provide the water, maintain their profits. An absolute disaster. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.